What's going on, Minecraft fans? My name's Luke the Notable, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you a tour of my 1000 days Minecraft world. As you can see, here we are. Now, before we get this tour started, one thing I do want to get out of the way right away is that this is not the real 1000 days world. When I hit 1000 days, I backed up my save file so I could not only show you this tour, but also you can download it for yourself. If you've watched 1000 days and you'd like to play on my world, maybe hear the thunderous baaing of my sheep or hang out with my mushrooms, all you have to do is go down to the link in the description to download this world. You could also get the seed for this world, so if you wanted to play my world without any of the stuff in it and see what you can build yourself, that's down there too. So either option. One thing that's really cool about this world download though is it's actually backed up on day 999. So if you want to watch the fireworks show, all of the fireworks are still there. That is just insanely loud. Again, all of those fireworks are gonna be there. If you wanna watch the fireworks show for yourself, you can download this world. This is technically day 999, but we're not gonna talk about that. Also, as you can see, I'm gonna be doing this world tour in creative mode. Should make it a little bit easier for me to get everywhere and show you everything. But I guess, without further ado, we should just get into the world. Let's start with the big house in the middle. Obviously, my Minecraft hardcore house is very large. It is 20 stories of solid emeralds, 100% emeralds, 20 stories. Of course, originally the house started off as wood, it was transformed into stone, then it was transformed into stone with a little bit of emeralds on it, and finally you see what you see today, which is this massive just tower of emeralds. It took hundreds of days to get it to where it is now. This is quite a lot of emeralds. I already have a lot of beacons on the land, which we'll talk about later. There's just so many emeralds in this whole playthrough. So we're gonna look at every room in this house and show you what's in there. Keep in mind, not every room is filled with something, but when I get to 2000 days, one of the goals is to fill all of these rooms with something, and maybe even make this house a little bigger. You can see here the house is 20 stories. It's easily above the clouds, but this space elevator here is actually at the max build height. So you can see how the house has just a little bit more to go before it's at truly the maximum size. I'm not entirely sure how many more emeralds it's gonna take to get that house up here, but I think it's possible. Of course, at the top of the house, you have my throne room. Now, I kind of like this throne room because you have this emerald throne, and it sort of locks into the bottom of the house, and it's almost like the entire house is a throne. Though, really, if I want to have that effect, I should probably make this upper layer a floor of emeralds, if I really want to say this whole house is a throne. The throne room has an awesome view of the sunset. I should be able to make that happen here. So this time around, I have some commands I'm playing with cheats on. Again, this isn't the real world, but you can see, perfect view of the sunset, looking straight out from my throne at the top of my giant mansion. In the past, I've thought about making a second throne underneath that throne that could watch the sun rise, but for now, all I have is this sort of carpet that pays homage to the sunrise and sunset. So maybe sometime in 2000 days, you might see a second throne where I can watch the sunrise, but for now, I just have this room with this carpet. And again, a lot of these upper floors in the house don't have much in them. This one is just a checkerboard carpet. But again, in 2000 days, I might be able to fill up these rooms. This room has the creeper carpet. I think I did a pretty good job of making a creeper face. Kind of limited by the size of these rooms, but I think I did an okay job. Again, a lot of these upper rooms, nothing in them, just a carpet. You also want to notice the windows up here. I didn't want all of the windows in the house to be these massive windows. Now, while massive windows are nice, you can really see out there. When you look at a house, when you look at a house from outside, it kind of looks nice when you have some different windows to block it up. So that's why I sometimes put these tiny windows randomly around the house. I actually went all the way up on the first day I built it and made sure that every floor had at least one window that was a little bit different. So when you look at this house from far away, you can kind of see the windows. They're a little broken up. It's not just big blocks along the whole thing. Again, a lot of these upper floors don't have much. We've got my blue checkered carpet, whatever that rug is, this, red and yellow one. This one I kind of tried to make like an ender sort of thing. I don't know if it works, but that's what I was going for. But actually, in the course of 1000 days, I did end up filling quite a few rooms with stuff. Here's my little pet drowned. He's named Subject, and that's from the Head Factory. But he's just got a nice little room. Little bed that he doesn't use, obviously. Some ocean blocks, a fish on the wall, some sort of fishing rod, and then some salmon. So he lives here pretty comfortably. We also have my first observation deck. This is floor 10. And before I put the massive expansion on the house, that used to be the highest floor. But unfortunately, when I built this mob farm over here, you can see the view was just totally ruined. So I had to build up so I could see over the mob farm. Oh, now I'm falling. The carpet in here is a little bit strange. I tried to put the yellow on the outside to sort of symbolize the sun rising. I don't know how it looked. I might have to change this later. We also have my pet zombie, named Subject again. I had a ton of name tags left over from the head factory, all named Subject, and I just used them for these rooms. He's got a bone on the wall, some rotten flesh, red checkered carpet. Pretty simple, just something totally pointless that I wanted in the house. Of course, all of the upper floors that I've already shown you are gonna have something about as useful as him. We also have my conduit room. Doesn't really do much, it's just a conduit in my house, which is kind of cool. I really like how it's all self-contained. You know, you can go up this ladder no problem, and you can just sort of walk into the conduit room. And of course, because this is a conduit, I can be underwater and breathe the whole time. And this is the fabled skeleton room. Of course, there's no skeleton living in here, but I did make the room for him. Skeletons are a little harder to catch than I thought, though we are in creative mode. So if I wanted, I can put a skeleton in here, and he spawned with some gold pants. Remember, this is not my 1000 days world. This is not official. I'm in creative. I can do whatever I want here. Now we're getting into the part of the house that you've probably seen before. This is Mega Bed. Something never really shown in any of the hardcore videos that I did. Kind of made a joke about it in the 300 days tour. Pretty much everything from here down in the house hasn't changed much since the original time that it was built. The only thing that you will notice is changed in these bottom floors is the terracotta floor. So around day 680, I found terracotta. My last achievement in the game was to find all the biomes, and that last biome was the Badlands, and the Badlands is where you get all this terracotta. So kind of as a celebration, I refloored a lot of the floors in my house with just different glazed terracotta. You know, these terracotta floors are definitely an upgrade from what I had in here before, which was oak planks. And they also give me a nice ceiling effect. You know, the floor above is the ceiling for the room below. So I like the terracotta in here, and it reminds me of all the work I did adventuring. I eventually want to do more terracotta floors, but when I first put them in, it took like 3 days, and I kind of got tired of doing all the flooring. It's not the most fun activity. I also had to cook more terracotta, but I really do love the terracotta floors on my house here. Most of everything, like I said, though, is pretty much original. This bedroom, which was my original bedroom, hasn't really changed much. I think this blue orchid is new, and this bread dispenser is new, but that is the only thing that is new. And like I said, not much has changed with the bottom layers of this house. This is my first floor. I don't use this too often. It's kind of just a nice hallway where I have some trophies and a little bit of treasure in my treasure chest. You know, this is really the only chest I have for these sort of like, weird things like discs. I have an end crystal here, my ender pearls, lots of different stuff. This, I believe, is my first, oh, I just destroyed it. That was my first fish. These two pickaxes are my first diamond pickaxes. Both of them are unenchanted, pretty useless and almost dead. This is my first elytra, again, pretty useless and doesn't have mending on it. I have two other elytras. I don't know where they are right now, but I have two other, oh, I actually have 3 elytras, wow. How many elytras did I end up getting? 1 here, 1 there, 2 more. But like I said, not really much going on. Oh, that's Raid Breaker. I don't know if you guys noticed that. We have Raid Breaker on the wall. After I got my new diamond sword, or sorry, netherite sword, I decided to retire Raid Breaker. But yeah, not much going on here. I don't really use this room, but it is nice to look at. I'll give it that. The basement has a nice effect to where the ceiling of the basement is not the floor of the first floor of the house, which I kind of like. This is white terracotta up here. And then we have blue terracotta, or light blue terracotta? I think this is light blue terracotta on the floor. This is a big upgrade from what it previously was. It used to be coal and redstone, which I do not recommend as flooring. Light blue terracotta, a little better than coal and redstone. Most of the rooms in the basement I don't really use too much. Back here we have an incinerator, which almost really was not used at all in 1000 days, just because it's a little low tech. And then over here I have a nether portal. This is my first nether portal. But of course, I'll show you later what I used for my nether portal. This one I didn't really use too much. In fact, zombie pigmen spawned in here a lot, so I did dismantle it, even though I did have iron doors here. So they never really got into my house. It was never a problem. We also have my first mine. Very simple mine. Not much going on. Really not used at all. The treasure room, though, you can see with the creeper, this is my treasure room. And this was used quite often. You can see my 2 creepers, Tors and Elbaton right there. Elbaton, Tors, the 2 creepers that I trapped in 300 days. And then we have my head collection, which is always nice to look at. You've got the zombie head, skeleton head, wither skeleton skull head, creeper head, just a nice row of heads on some gold blocks. I'm pretty sure that's all the heads. Let me know down in the comments section if there's any heads I missed. I'm pretty sure I got them all. And if I haven't got them all, you know I'm going to be looking for those other heads. We also have my 1 and 2 year celebration cake. I want to keep this tradition going, putting, you know, a cake on top of diamond blocks to denote the years. The only problem is, though, at some point during 2,000 days, I'm going to hit 3, 4, and 5 years in hardcore Minecraft. And I'm going to definitely run out of space for putting these blocks down. So I'm going to have to find a different way to store my 1 year cakes. But I'll work on that, obviously, later. Back to Tors and Elbaton. I broke this glass here so I could see their name tags. But if you're playing on this world and you don't want them to die, unless you're in creative mode, don't break this glass, because as soon as you go to survival, they will blow up. One other important thing to mention, I actually figured this out while I was practicing for this video. This treasure room has an, oh no! Like I was saying, this treasure room has an auto drown feature. And one thing I will say about the auto drown feature is you don't want to use it because my conduit, which is nearby, will actually attack the creepers. And they will end up dead. From the conduit power. You can see there they're getting hit with these conduit powers. So, you know, I don't use the auto drown feature that often, but I don't think I'm going to be using it at all because I really don't want my creepers to die. This thing here, this lever, what does this do? I realized when I watched 1,000 Days, I watched it right before this, that I never really showed the intricacies of this system. So this is my villager protection system. If you flick this lever, you will see some underground redstone that goes throughout the entirety of the compound. And if we just follow one of these things, you'll see where it leads. It's just a very simple sort of redstone. This one actually I think is not working right now. But it's just a very simple sort of redstone contraption that will lock all of the villagers in their houses. And it all comes back to one simple lever in the basement of my house. And this was something that didn't take that long to do, only a couple days, but you can kind of see here. Oh, I'm totally destroying all of this, aren't I? When I flick that lever, you get these blocks that are pushed up to sort of help keep pillagers away from the villagers, which it worked very well. The whole reason the pillagers are dead is because, the villagers are dead is because of the Nether update when they were despawned. So this worked incredibly well. I would totally recommend something like this in your own world. It's also kind of cool to think that throughout the entire compound, it's got sort of this underbelly of redstone wired all through it. You know, it's kind of nice to think about. As far as the outside of the house goes, you can pretty much see it right there. It's a big house of emeralds. One interesting thing is if you notice these blue orchids, these are actually the blue orchids that I picked while camping. So near the end of 1,000 days, I believe it's day 992 or 993, I go camping and I find 22 or 21 blue orchids. And these are the blue orchids. There's also some more blue orchids that I placed down just around the compound, you'll notice. They are my favorite flower. So I placed, those blue orchids around. There's a ton of them over here in the addition, and especially on the lawn where the fireworks show was going to be. I wanted some blue orchids in this area. So one of the things you'll notice if you're looking around my world is you'll see a lot of blue orchids, especially in the compound. They're my favorite flower. I love them. So one of the reasons they are my favorite flower, blue orchids, is you can't, bone meal them. If I have a sunflower and I take some bone meal, I can make more sunflowers and then, essentially get just unlimited sunflowers on my land. But blue orchids, bone meal does nothing to them. There's no way to grow more blue orchids, so they're a little bit rarer of a flower. And I do just kind of like the blue of them. So that's why they're my favorite. Still not done with the house. You got to check out the green terracotta on the front of the house. I thought this looked really nice. I was kind of struggling what to do with the front lawn of my house. And the green terracotta almost looks like it's like an intricate front lawn design, which I really, really like. I really like this green terracotta here on the front lawn. I keep breaking stuff. We also have the two sentinels. We've got a creeper one and an ender dragon one. The creeper one was placed on day 927, and the ender dragon was placed on day 936. Though the ender dragon one was actually not recorded because that was placed on the same day I made this cloud shack up here, which I'll talk about later, but the cloud shack was not recorded either. So they were placed on the same day. I really like them. They're just nice little wastes of diamonds that you see every time you go into my house. You know, every time I leave, I just remember how rich I am because I can waste diamonds like this. I'm gonna just grab a netherite block and I'm gonna use that to patch up because you know what? Whatever. We also have my front gate. You can see the gold block arch. That's been fairly original. I don't know when this was actually built, but it's been there for a very long time. We also have the end rods. Those count as light sources, so you can see those on my fence with the brick fence. I think eventually I want to change out this fence into something a little more lavish, something like diamond, maybe even gold. I'm not entirely sure, but I do want to change up this front fence area, make this entire house more lavish. I have heard a lot of you saying that, you know, with 2,000 days, you're expecting this entire house to be made out of diamonds or netherite blocks or something like that. I don't know. I like the emeralds. I think, for me, emeralds are a great building material. They're strong. They're fire resistant, you know, fairly easy to get if you have the infrastructure. I don't see any reason why I would want to change this into diamonds or anything like that. You know, what would be cool is if I got like diamond. Imagine, okay, real quick. This isn't creative, so it doesn't count, but imagine, ooh, hold on. That would be cool. Diamond blocks all the way up. See, this is what 7-year-olds do, is they just go into creative and grab a diamond block and start having fun. Yeah, I don't want to go up too high, but you can kind of see that might work. That could be how we increase this, or something similar. I'm not sure yet. We'll get there. You'll have to watch. Stay tuned. I'm having too much fun just flying around my world doing creative things. I think that's pretty much it with the house. At least all the things that are actually physically connected to the house. Yeah, very nice house. Probably my crown achievement in 1,000 days. So glad I built it. It's awesome. So at least for the main compound, we're just gonna kind of work our way out inside of the walls. So that's how I'm gonna kind of move through the compound. So the next thing we're gonna talk about here is the farm. The farm hasn't changed much. It's really not even used that often. Getting to 1,000 days, I got lots of different types of food. I had Uber Eats. I have an AFK fish farmer over there that's just filled to the brim with raw fish. You know, there was really not much reason for me to farm for my own food. Though I will say it is nice to have a big stock of crops. I do wish one of these plots was potatoes just so I had them. I also want some beets in here too, because it's nice to have food for certain things. I have a big old villager breeder over here which has no villagers in it, but at a certain point I was using a lot of the food from that farm to feed my villagers. So it's good to have a farm on your land, even if you don't necessarily eat from it all the time. We also have the map. I don't know why this piece is missing, so you're just gonna have to try to ignore that. But we also have my big map. These are just made with the standard size map, and it's just sort of a shot of my entire surrounding area. You can see just how much I have touched in this world. You can see how far my influence spreads. You see that red dot there? That's actually the volcano. It's just kind of cool to look. One thing I like is that's the top of the TNT block I made, and it sort of looks like a big TNT block. I like looking at my little beacons here, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 beacons, my house, the cloud. I catch myself looking at this map a little bit too much. Working outwards, the next thing we got to look at is the Tree of Murder, officially called the Tree of Murder. So I'm pretty certain that there isn't a single block on this tree where you could fit another banner. I mean, if you download the world and find a place where you could put a banner, you know, don't fault me for that. I can't fly in hardcore, but I tried to make sure that every block had a banner on it, and it looks pretty menacing. I gotta say, I like looking at it. Every time I walk by, it's like, oh yeah, all the people I've killed. Nice. And that's not even all the banners, guys. If you go down to my storage system, which looks pretty nice, I gotta do the ceiling now that I think about it. Can't believe I kept that stone the whole time. If you come back here, there's actually a double chest full of banners. You can see here, 16 is the max stack that you can have of banners, and you can see just how many banners I had extra. I could probably make another Tree of Murder with all of these. That being said, it wasn't a hard construction to do, but I definitely think it was a good one in the end. Something about the acacia tree I think was good for the Tree of Murder. I don't think it would look as good if this was on a spruce or an oak tree. Something about the acacia tree just makes it look a little more menacing. Next thing we have is my panic tower. That's what I called it in the series. I didn't show too much footage of me actually using this thing, and that's because I didn't use this thing too often, but it does work very well. It's insanely functional. If I'm panicking in a raid or anything, I can go up on top of there, and I'm very, very safe. And it also has this nice ability where it's got a conduit underneath it, you can see here, and this water pushes stuff in. So if there's a zombie that's, a zombie pillager, whatever you want to say is chasing you, if a zombie's chasing me and falls into the water, he will be attacked by that conduit effect, and anything that falls into this water is not only going to drown, but it's also going to get hit by that conduit effect and die. So even if I have a horde of zombies coming after me, just tons of them, eventually all of them, if I go up on the top of this panic room, will fall into this bottom chamber here and be killed by the conduit. So it's a perfect little design. I made this right before I started doing raids on the main compound, and while I didn't use it all that often, it did come in handy when I did have to use it. Because it's my conduit, I can also stand in this little chamber, and I mentioned in the video how nothing can get me when I'm down here. Vex can't kill me, pillagers, ravagers, zombies, creepers. There's just no amount of enemies that I can take when I'm down in this water under the conduit. It is definitely one of the safest places on the compound. This water I definitely meant to cover and just never did. So there we go. We can talk about this thing just because it's, sort of here and in the wall. This is my birch shack tunnel road project thing. You can see a little bit of the walls are corrupted just because of that Nether update that I played near the end of 1000 days. These walls are normally all the way set up. But this is something I built in the first, I believe, 300 days. And it just is a nice little minecart track over to the birch shack where I fight the wither. Pretty simple. I know you guys have probably seen this before, and I'm honestly just using it right now because it's a good excuse to ride a minecart track, which I find very fun. The minecart track spits you out near the birch shack, which I did not physically change, though this place is fairly important. I'm gonna go down to spectator mode. I don't really use spectator mode all that often, but this should allow me to show you all of the different tunnels that I built when fighting the wither. So you see some of these shafts, and then there's some of the more ballooned sections. Those are all of the areas where I fought the wither, and I fought the wither 24 times in the making of 1000 days. So you can only imagine how many different shafts are down here for wither fights. So here we are. Now we're underneath our compound. You can see there's some water, the Emerald Tower, my farm, and you can just see how much I changed underneath this base. Just so much was lit up. All of the strip mines, all of the mines, all of the spelunking. There's been a lot of work that's gone into 1000 days. And if you can't see that by looking at the screen, well, you must be blind. So now we're gonna move into the outer wall, and the first thing you gotta look at is my 3-headed dragon totem. So this was made on day 595, and it was made in response to just the growing amount of dragon heads that I was accumulating. I believe I think there's 5 dragon heads that I have on my whole land, and you just can't display 5 dragon heads. There's no way to do it in the treasure room. You've been to the treasure room. It's very small. So I had to find a way of displaying them, and I think that looks pretty good. Nice little dragon totem with the dragon egg. It just looks good. I don't know, whenever I walk by it, I smile, so I guess that's all that matters. We also have my sugarcane/cactus farm. It's nothing special, but it does have a little track through the bottom of it that dumps off into a nice easy chest here. So it's pretty well designed. I used this a lot during the fireworks show. This is where I got a lot of the paper for the fireworks show. We also have one of the few original trees. So this was not a tree grown by me. This is actually one of 2 original trees that were on the compound. This one is sort of just big and gangly. Like, you can just see it was made of multiple trees, and just the way I cut it down, I don't know. It looks a little weird if you stare at it too long, but at the same time, if you sort of look at it quick, it's like, wow, that's a big tree there. So I'm keeping it for now. It's one of the few original trees on the compound, and when I started this world back on day 1, this whole compound was filled with trees. I mean, there was nothing but trees, oak and birch trees. That was all there was. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to burn this down just because it's got so much sentimental value to me. I know some of you out there might think, wow, that thing's ugly. But to me, this is a cool tree. We also have Mongoose. Mongoose, my horse. So Mongoose I got pretty early on. I got him about day 340, named him about day 440. And he lived. He was like one of the only horses to live all of 1,000 days other than Warthog, but Warthog was retired, so that doesn't count. This was always Mongoose's stable. I just watched 1,000 Days, and I never really talked about Mongoose's stable, but obviously there's not much to it. Next to him is Chief's stable. Now, if you remember, Chief died. Rest in peace, Chief. But I did not move Mongoose over to Chief's stable. I just didn't feel like I could. I don't know if I'll ever get a horse that will rival Chief. Chief was fast. He could jump high. Ugh, I miss you, Chief. Rip Chief. Can we get an F in the chat for Chief? Going around, we also have some of these villager huts. I know I sort of talked about them earlier when I was talking about my redstone contraption. If you remember these villager huts, during, I think, day 315, I went to the Nether update, the new Nether update snapshot. And in the process of that, sure, I got a diamond or a netherite sword, but I also despawned all of the villagers that were living on my land. So this used to be a farmer hut for Uber Eats. I would buy all of my food from him, and he's gone, so that's very sad. Over here, I used to have a Fletcher, and he would sell me tons of arrows. This whole chest is actually filled with arrows that Fletcher would sell me. He also would sell me arrows of harming. I never brought that up in 1,000 Days either. These are just a little bit better arrows. I was really sad to see my Fletcher go, especially since I could profit off of him. Oh, what even? No! Okay, we're just gonna stop. We're gonna stop touching that. The butcher here, another hut. I had big plans for the butcher. I wanted to make this auto seaweed farm that never worked, and I was gonna sell to the butcher, but then the seaweed farm never worked, and the butcher stopped existing. This is just a big chunk of failure. We've got the bees. I don't know how bees work. It's been 1,000 days. I still don't know how to make bees work efficiently. Maybe eventually I'll figure it out and make a bee farm or something, but yeah, not much to see here with the bees. This is where a stone cutter used to live. I would use him honestly a lot. He was very good for money. I would keep cobblestone and another stone in this chest, and then I would sell to the stonemason for big money. I also had a double auto furnace over here that would pump out stone and smooth stone, so I had tons of different ways to make profits on the main compound. I was really sad when these villagers were despawned. I mean, sure, I got a netherite sword, but I also lost all my villagers, so, you know, who wins? We can also check out the mine and the storage shed. We'll go to the mine first. You can see here, this is where I actually had my mining beacon. So the beacon has to have clear view of the sun. So this is how I actually got that beacon to work. Though I took down the beacon down here just because there was so much area that I mined out, it almost got inefficient to mine down here. Like, it was really only ever good for cobblestone. You know, you didn't get a lot of diamonds, you didn't get a lot of iron, stuff like that with the mining beacon. While it might be okay if maybe I got to a fresh chunk and built a mining beacon, you know, putting a mining beacon on a chunk I had already fairly mined out wasn't a great idea. Though maybe in the future, I'll get a fresh chunk with a fresh mining beacon and we'll see what that is. But that's pretty much that, just a very simple mine. Not much going on. Now we can check out the storage room. Not much going on down here. You might have seen this a couple times during the series. It's a pretty simple storage room. There's better ways to make storage, but I kind of like this this method where you put something in the wall with labels. So this is my food chest. It's got a mushroom there, and you can see it's just all of my food, whatever I use to eat. But as you can see, my organization isn't great. I have cactuses and rotten flesh and rose bushes in here for some reason. You can check out the diamond chest there, just random diamond items. I also have one bit of netherite scrap that I keep in there, just the one piece that I never used when I made my netherite tools. I definitely don't have enough netherite to build a separate netherite chest. One of my favorite things is my emerald chest. Instead of using a emerald block, uses emerald ore that I had to silk touch. So kind of a nice little effect there of the emerald ore. That's actually fairly rare. I have a spare one in here that I can use. But this is actually real. I don't have any extra emeralds. I used pretty much all of them in the end of 1,000 days detailing the house. Every emerald I have is on that house. Now, of course, in 2,000 days, that could totally change. I get tons more emeralds. Another 1,000 days? Whoa! But you can sort of see how I built this storage room. The more common items like wood, stone, granite, diorite, that's at the front of the storage room. And then as I sort of got more stuff like diamonds, emeralds, ice, just weird stuff like end blocks, I just built further into this cave. Pretty simple design, and it works pretty well. I know for a fact there's better storages out there, but mine I like. We also have the Eternal Flame. This was built on day 500, and it will burn until I am dead. I don't know. I like building monuments, and this one it's pretty simple. It's just netherite, or netherrack on top of some quartz. But I like it. It's the Eternal Flame. In here I had an evoker. I just spawned him in there now. In the true 1,000 Days playthrough, that evoker is dead. I think he died at some point during some raid. But it was nice to have him as a prisoner. He's kind of the leader of the pillagers, and I thought, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to capture their leader and display him on my land. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, though. We also have turtles. A lot less than when I started. At one point, this thing was just filled to the brim with turtles. I only ever needed them to make the potion of the Turtle Master. There also used to be cats right next to the turtle farm, but those were actually put inside the mob farmer, which I'll get at later. Because we gotta check out my wall trap. We can talk about the whole wall and the wall traps. This is probably a good time as ever. So the wall originally was a cobblestone wall with torches on top. 3-layer wall around the entire compound. In some areas it's 1 high and some it's 2 high. Around day 450, I changed out the cobblestone for this stone, brick, and lantern design. And around day 750, I started installing traps, like the one you see here. Now this is the biggest trap that I made on the wall, and it's the most effective. So how it works, and I know this redstone isn't the prettiest, but how it works is you flick this lever, and then these blocks open here, and then, you know, creatures fall in. So these are 2x3, big enough for Ravagers, on both sides to just fall in and die, be just completely swarmed up by lava. You know, one thing I do regret about this contraption is I didn't find a way to make it a little prettier. I guess in theory, I maybe could have like built this up a little, you know, and kind of enclosed it a little bit, but I never got to that. And I always kind of thought I would expand it too. So maybe one day we will fix this up, make it a little prettier. But for now, it's very, very functional. I will definitely be the first to admit I am not good at redstone. You know, just wiring this thing up was a miracle in and of itself, and I didn't want to get too cocky with it. There's also a little wall trap over here. After just watching 1,000 Days, I realized I didn't really show this one too often. But this was just another problem area where pillagers would they'd sort of get caught up in this corner. So I just installed another wall trap here that would help kill some of those pillagers that were stuck in that corner. Obviously, it's not big enough to work on Ravagers. I never got to that point. But it's just a very easy little trap here on the side. Next, we have my giant totem. Now, this thing was made on day 357. And the whole reason I made this thing was, if you look down here, I have a giant chest full of totems. One of the worst things about a totem is it doesn't stack. It takes up its own little section in a chest. So when I was gathering these totems, you know, I very quickly realized that I'm going to need a spot. I'm going to have a spot to put all these things. And I thought, you know, kind of a big totem, you know, sort of giving my offerings to it. It kind of was funny and kind of cool. I know it's not a perfect totem. You know, it doesn't look perfectly like a Totem of Undying. You can tell a Totem of Undying sort of has these arms on it, which I didn't do. I didn't want it to be perfect. I just wanted it to look good. I just wanted a creative way to store my totems. And I think, you know, I did a pretty good job. I have almost 4 double chests of totems. You can see these first 3 are all full. And then this last one here has 5 left that I got to put in there. So a lot of totems, but it is hardcore Minecraft. I'm trying not to die here. Totems will help. We've also got my AFK fish farm. This thing saw a lot of use at the start of 1,000 Days just because I didn't have a better way of getting XP. Though I will say, as I increased my other XP methods like raiding and you know, melon farming, which you'll see later, bamboo farming, I really didn't use that thing too often. But early game, I will say the AFK Fisher was a great way to get XP, books. There were also, like I said earlier, tons of food in here. You can see here 64 raw salmon, even another stack of 64 raw salmon. There's some raw cod. I would recommend an AFK Fisher to anyone out there in the early game, though I will say it does get obsolete pretty quickly, so don't AFK fish for too long. Now this is my nether portal. This is the one I pretty much used for most of 1,000 Days. I'll actually go in there and show you the nether hub in a second, but that's just my nether portal. A little nicer, a little easier to get at too. I didn't have to go into my basement. Also, if pigmen spawned, they were kind of trapped in this fence, so a little safer too. These are just some huts for some librarian villagers that of course no longer exist. I'm very sad about that whole thing. I actually don't have mending on my netherite pickaxe because I ran out of mending books. The last mending book I had was used on my sword. And the last thing in this inner wall is my aquarium. Now, this used to be filled to the brim with pufferfish. You'll see that there's only a couple Only a couple left. There's 1 or 2, maybe 3 in here. I think maybe just 2. For whatever reason, they don't like to stay in the aquarium. They like to jump out. You know, I'll randomly a lot of times find like just dead pufferfish laying around this thing. But at one point in time, this was very cool. It was very cool to look at all the pufferfish. I probably had like 10 or 15 pufferfish in there. It was nice. Let's see if I can sort of give you that effect here with creative mode. It's pretty easy. Now that's honestly way more pufferfish than I ever had, but that's sort of closer to what it looked like. It was a really cool little aquarium. I'm having just way too much fun doing this all in creative. This should not be legal. That looks nice. That looks nice. And that is pretty much it for this section of wall. So now we're gonna move to the industrial district. So I know it's not too far from the main camp, but I will say, if you're ever gonna build some auto farms or some big mob farms like this, I would say try to build it away from most of your other stuff, just because it can get a bit laggy. Though because I built this stuff a little bit farther away from the main camp, like my house and my farms and some of the other stuff, the lag was definitely cut down because I built it sort of away. So this monster farm is definitely the most eye-catching of all the things over here. This thing was completed 5 layers on day 800. It is actually 6 layers. There's a top layer in the mob farm that is completely useless. So stuff spawned up here, but it would drop down and die. So it actually made it slower. So it's a 6-layer mob farm with just 1 useless layer. All of the other layers, as you can see, mobs spawn, and then they are pushed into the center, and as you can see, they're right there waiting to be killed. There's also cats in all the corners of the mob farm. Very cute, very cute. Put them in as, when they were kittens. And this mob farm, it just gave me a lot of money. It gave me a lot of gunpowder. It gave me just a lot of different things. I owe a lot of my success to this mob farm. Just so many monsters killed, so many different items that I got, bones, gold, gunpowder, just a great build for me. The bamboo farm was built before the mob farm. This one was built on day 700, whereas the mob farm was built on day 800. So that's why you see where the mob farm and bamboo farm intersect. I kind of had to like trim the mob farm a little bit, and that's why you see that effect there. But the bamboo farm was pretty nice. I practiced building this in creative. It was my first auto farm that I ever made, and it works really, really well. So basically, as the bamboo farm grows, it hits this observer, and then all of the once one of the bamboo hits that observer, all of the bamboo are harvested. And then it's got a nice little collection system down here where it all goes into a nice little chest. And as you can see, there's tons of bamboo in there. There's a lot of bamboo in there. I was able to take this bamboo and sell it to my Fletcher when he existed. Of course, he doesn't anymore, but it's still nice. I basically get unlimited sticks. It's also got a nice little auto farm mode, so if I ever just want some bamboo right now and don't want to wait for it all to grow, I can just flick this lever and then all of the bamboo is harvested like that. So that was a nice little thing I put in there. The auto melon farm, another part of the industrial district, was built around day 900. So you have bamboo farm day 700, mobster farm day 800, and then melon farm day 900. Now, this is probably one of my favorite constructions. It doesn't work too great right now, and that's just because all of my villagers despawned. But this melon farm, I mean, it produces. It's insane how fast it produces. You can see, there's already melons like overflowing in this thing. I mean, I have stacks of melons over here, tons more melons that just spawn all the time. I used to have a melon man over here who would buy my melons, but of course, with all the other villagers, he was also snapped from existence. In 2,000 days, I have plans to revitalize my compound, get more villagers in it, and definitely part of that is going to be utilizing this melon farm more. So definitely you want to stay tuned. We also have the green dye machine built around day 800. This thing is a complete and total waste. You really should not build one of these. It's totally pointless. So the whole way you make green dye is you have to burn cactus. So as the cactus grows, it will be instantly sort of transported into this furnace and then output green dye into here. And it's just very wasteful. Just farm cactus, put some coal in the furnace, and make it yourself. You don't need a green dye machine. This is frivolous. We also have the head factory over here. Kind of an interesting little layout. I called it the head factory just because, oh, you can see it's broken actually. So I called it the head factory because I wanted to farm up some monster heads with this thing. It never really worked. I mean, it did work, but I never got it to work how I wanted it to. This whole thing is essentially an overcomplicated creeper and zombie trap. Essentially, you bring a creeper in through these gates. He will sit on that block, and then you flick this lever, and some water will push him into this 3-deep hole. You can then name him, and it's essentially a way to keep a stock of creepers, so whenever there's a thunderstorm, you can get those juicy, juicy heads, though it didn't really work out too great. We also have my mushroom farm. I can kind of show you how this works. It just uses some mushroom dirt, and then if you have some bone meal, it's just a nice, easy place where you can first grow a mushroom, and then when you mine that mushroom, the mushroom blocks will fall into this water and get put in one nice little spot here. So pretty low-tech mushroom farm, but it works. We also have a mushroom dirt farm. Again, very simple technology. It's essentially just mushroom dirt that is sort of quarantined off from the rest of the dirt. I would farm this mushroom dirt, replace it with regular dirt, and more mushroom dirt will be grown. So very simple, but very good. We might as well go over my zombie farm. So if you take this road here, this andesite road, all the way over here, you will then take this granite road all the way over to this granite shack. And if you take this all the way down, you'll make it to my zombie farmer. Pretty good design for the zombie farmer. Just a very, very simple zombie farmer. I would sit here and AFK fish, and then when the zombies all spawned, I would kill the zombies. And then over here, I actually had a cleric, so I would sell him the excess rotten flesh for emeralds and just all kinds of stuff. Again, another one of those constructions that kind of got ruined once all my villagers despawned, but it wouldn't be too hard to get this thing back to fully functioning. And then this andesite shack over here, if you're wondering, this is just the service for the zombie spawner. So if you want to ever fix the zombie spawner, if something's wrong, if you're playing the world, or even if you just want to check it out, this is all just for service to make sure that zombie farmer works. Yeah, it's not supposed to be pretty. There's nothing cool down here. You just sort of go down and you have access to the zombie farmer, as you can see. While we are on the outside of the camp, though, I think we can talk about my horse road. It's kind of upgraded. So this thing was originally just cobblestone, and then at some point during 1,000 days, I upgraded it to diorite along with the rest of my walls, and you gotta admit, it looks nice. It looks nice. It definitely doesn't go all the way. You can see this is more the original design of the horse road, this cobblestone. But, you know, the diorite does look nice. We can also talk about the volcano. Now, this was made on day 683. Took me a couple days to do a little volcano-scaping. But I needed some cobblestone. So I don't know how well we're going to be able to see this. But if you go, actually, not too bad. If you go in here, there's a big hole. And this was just dug out and blown up for my cobblestone. I needed some extra cobblestone. And I decided to make sort of this little bit of art in the process. So instead of just going down and mining for cobble, I made a volcano. So it really burns on my compound side. You can see there's the compound. That is where all the lava is. That is one side to it. But then if you also come around here, you can see there's quite a lot of lava on this side too. From Raid Town, which is over there, which we'll go to, don't worry. You can really see all of this lava. So I got a little carried away with the lava on the volcano, but it does look nice. Yeah, we can talk about the TNT block too. We're at that point. Again, just a scale model of a TNT block. This is 16 by 16 by 16. So 16 blocks up, 16 blocks up, 16 blocks across, 16 blocks deep. I'm not a great pixel artist. I've never really done pixel art. This is probably one of the first things I've ever built that's pixel art-y. But I gotta say, it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty nice. I like looking at it personally. You know, this is one of those things where it took a long time for me to build it. I got the outside done around day 910, and the top I didn't finish until about day 935. So it took a long time to make this thing. Like I said, I'm not too experienced with pixel art. We also have the monument to me. Ha ha ha. Now this was created just because I wanted to get a better view of my land. I kind of realized that I was having trouble getting a nice view of just everything that I've built. You know, it's kind of hard in hardcore Minecraft to like fly an elytra and also get a nice view of the land. So I decided to build something where I could go to get a consistent and pretty view of my land. And I do gotta say, I really love when it snows up here. It just gives it this nice effect, like of the snowy wonderland land. I don't know, it's just cool. Now you can look at my land from the top of the monument, or you can go inside the actual head and look through my own eyes. You'll notice that these are green and white, kind of like the eyes of Alex. Yeah, it's a monument to me. had to be accurate. And if you're wondering how to get up there without an elytra, there is a granite sort of tunnel down here that goes all the way down. So if you didn't have an elytra and you wanted to get a good view, you still could. It spits you out nearby, just right over here. So if you ever want to go up to the monument, if you're downloading this world, there's the villager breeder. Just come right over here. You can go to the monument. Speaking of the villager breeder, not much going on with it because, like I've said a couple times during this video, all of my villagers despawned when I updated the Nether update. But as you can see, just by looking at all these beds, there were quite a lot of villagers here. A lot of them lived here, and now they're all gone. Again, only villagers in the main compound despawned, so eventually I'll be able to get this thing back up and working. And like I said, in 2,000 days, I definitely want to get those villagers back. A big bummer that I lost them, but I did get this nice netherite sword, so there's that. We also got to look at everything over here in the addition. So this stuff was not original. I increased the size of my land with this addition on day 472, and just sort of added some weird stuff in it. Just different stuff that I didn't necessarily want in the inner wall. You can see I moved all my animals over here. I keep a beacon, my mushrooms, which I got on day 900. Just a ton of different stuff. This diamond throne was built on day 769, and if you sit in the seat, you are actually at 69 height. So you can see there, I don't like to show this screen too often because it's kind of gross, but I'm perfectly at 69 height when sitting in the diamond throne. And again, like I said at the start of the video, if you pull this lever, you can see the fireworks show. It's just very loud, so I don't want to play it. We also have Warthog here visiting. He doesn't normally hang out here. He hangs out at L-Town, which I'll show you later. But on day 999 and day 1000, he was watching the fireworks show in his throne of hay, which I want to give credit. The throne of hay was actually Tors's idea. Just want to put that out there. And we also have Binks. He normally lives in my house in Glasstown. But again, I wanted some company for the fireworks show, so I brought him and made him his own little cat tree, which I think is hella cute. We can also visit my ocelots. The ocelot was the last animal that I had to breed for my achievement of breeding all the animals. And so I decided to build them their own little house. I didn't have a jungle tree anywhere else on my land, and I decided to tie it in with the ocelots because they live in the jungle. There is a nice little basement with a chicken dispenser though, so it actually doesn't have any eggs in it anymore because the ocelots ate all of the chickens. But at one point this thing was filled with eggs. So how this would work is if you put eggs in there, you step on this, an egg is shot out. And there's a chance that a chicken will spawn. So whenever I spawn a chicken, the ocelot will just go attack it. And obviously that's why there's no more eggs in that dispenser, because the ocelots either spawned all those eggs or ate all the chickens. So they like to have some fun. We also have my dolphin cage. Now, if you remember watching in 1000 days, this was a just total debacle. If you ever want to build a dolphin cage, just for anyone there at home, make sure you use glass blocks, not glass panes. So if you use glass panes like I did, these actually count as air blocks. So if a dolphin is sort of wedged in here, which you can do with a glass pane, the game will sort of recognize that the dolphin's above ground, even though they're not, they're underwater, and they can end up drowning or suffocating. I don't know. I'll probably end up getting another dolphin. It's not a super high priority, you know, a dolphin pet. It's not really useful. But now I know how to do it. So thank you all of you, the viewers of LTN. I was able to figure out what I did wrong by reading comments. So I do want to thank you guys for that. Last couple of things here. We've got the cake factory. So this idea was just an idea I've had for a long time. I wanted to make a building that had everything you needed to make a cake. Milk, eggs. This is a little auto sugarcane farm. And the only problem with this is you need wheat to make a cake. So I finished this, I trimmed it out, I thought, I'm done. Yes, it's over. And didn't realize that I didn't put wheat. So yeah, totally not functional cake farm. Though in my defense, I built the cake factory around the time the Nether update came out. I believe the next day after I finished the cake farm, I was down in the Nether update snapshot. So I was a little distracted with new Nether update stuff. If I make it to 2,000 days, I guarantee you this cake farm will be fixed. We also have my bone stable for my skeleton horse. Now this was originally made because when skeleton horses first came out, and even after that, you weren't able to put leads on them, so there was no way you could just tie them up. Though now you can. So this little bone stable doesn't really have any point. But I'm still going to keep my skeleton horse in here just because I think it looks nice. We also have the dog army barracks. Of course, the dog army is not here. They are stationed many places inside of my realm. But the dog army barracks, this is where I raised them. This thing just has some assorted meats and things in it. So Nice little area. And that's pretty much it as far as the main compound goes. There's obviously a lot more in this world though, so stay tuned. We're going to be looking at all of that. Ah! No, I almost forgot the cloud. Oh, I almost forgot the dog I don't talk about, guys. You really would not have let me live that one down. So the Cloud Shack was made on day 936, and the inspiration for this thing was, I always wanted a house in the end, but when you really think about it, why would you ever want to build a house in the end? There's Enderman, there's a dark void that'll kill you. So I kind of had the idea of bringing the end to my main base, and that's where I got this idea for the end shack. It's really a house, it's not really a shack, on top of this cloud with a nice little fountain. And this is just a way for me to sort of bring a little bit of the end back to my compound and not to have to go to the end, because not only is this safer, but the end is also very far away. I'd have to take a road I built, or I'd have to fly there, and this is just a lot easier. This is also where the dog I don't talk about lives, if you ever want to visit him. He's up here, living in the clouds. He also has a food dispenser. I believe this dispenses raw chicken. Yeah. Lots of raw chicken for him to eat. There's another one of my Ender Dragon heads. I just place them randomly, as you can see. And for sure, no, this time I am certain that I've gotten everything on the main compound. I don't know how long I've been recording this, but now I am certain we are done with the main compound. At least everything that's in the overworld. There's quite a lot, and there's quite a lot more still to see. I did live on this world for 1,000 days, so we'll get to that. So the first thing we're going to check out outside of the main compound is going to be my nether hub, because it's kind of on the main compound if you think about it. So when you come out of the nether portal, this is where you're greeted with. You have a floor of rails, and that was just to help with trapping villagers. You have this rail system, and that goes all the way over to Abduction Town. Abduction Town is where I got all of the villagers for my main compound. You also have this ladder, which I'll show you in a second. This here is a little track that goes all the way over to my Wither Skeleton Skull farm, which I'll show you in a bit too. And we also have my nether highway with Raw Dolphin, of course. So of course, Raw Dolphin was kind of an accident. I didn't even really mean to name the horse Raw Dolphin. I was trying to make some gag with dolphin meat. But he's actually a really fast horse. He doesn't jump very high, I will say that about Raw Dolphin, but he's incredibly fast, which makes him a great nether horse. But we're not gonna go anywhere with Raw Dolphin yet. We're gonna just show you the basic nether hub. We're gonna use the main ladder to go up first, and in here, you will find my menacing nether storage room. I don't really keep much in here. You're gonna find some nether rack, maybe some nether bricks, maybe just a little bit of trash. I don't really use this storage room too often, just for any trash that I might find on myself if I'm working down in the nether. Up here though, this is one of my several pride and joys. This is my normal house. I wanted to build this thing to sort of make it like it was in the overworld. So you have the ocean front views there. That's just a painting on the back and obviously on some dirt. But it kind of almost looks like you've got a view. You've got this zombie pigman here. He's named the Butler, and he just is stuck in that corner. I'm so glad he didn't despawn. And then there's not really much to this house. Really, it was all about the presentation on the outside. But as you can see, the nether update corruptions, just they got me everywhere. My normal house got hit too, so obviously that's gonna need some fixing before I can really call this thing the normal house. Anyway, this is an area that I terraformed with dirt. One of the big problems though is that grass does grow in the nether, but it grows very, very slow. So if I ever really wanted this lawn to be all green, I'd have to spend a lot of time down here. And I have spent a lot of time. Let me show you this here. So this is what I did with a lot of the dirt in my dirt chest. I was starting to get full on dirt, so I just came over here and placed a ton of it. And this took a while, maybe a day, half a day. And I placed some of these dirt blocks in here, very little of it grows. So, if it's any indication on how slow grass grows in the nether, it's gonna take a very long time for this stuff to be complete. Maybe by 2,000 days this place will look good, but for now, I really don't even want to show it off. It's very incomplete. At least the outside portion that's supposed to look like the overworld. Now, if you take the main elevator and go all the way down, you have access to lava. I'm not gonna take the elevator though, I'm just gonna bash my way out. Lava is a really good fuel source, so I built this little ladder here that just gives you easy access to lava, and you can see how much of my bucketing I've already done, excavating that lava. There's also one more layer. I realized I didn't really show this in 1,000 days, the actual construction of this tunnel down underneath the lava, but this was my first netherite mine. You can see this was kind of the first one where I did sort of like a strip mine, and then over here I just sort of dug out the whole chunk. Now, of course, this was all pointless because I had already loaded this chunk, so no netherite could be found in it after I played on the snapshot. You have to go to somewhere completely new. So all of this mining, all of it, totally pointless. I never would have found netherite in the first place. Useless. Gonna drink a free speed potion here. I'm actually gonna show you my wither skeleton farm while I'm down here. So here we are, the nether fortress. Now I will say in 1,000 days, I try to skip over all of my time in the nether pretty well, just because there is a lot of time that I spend down there, and you know, you might get bored if you watched like 2 minutes of straight nether footage, because I'd be down here for like 10 days straight, and I realized I never really showed just how big this area is. You can't really get a sense of how large the area is I cleared out just by watching 1,000 days, but this is my sort of natural looking wither skeleton farm. As you can see, we already have some wither skeletons that have spawned here, and then there's even some more over here. Really, the biggest problem I ever ran into with the nether was the blazes, at least with this farm. Now, right now, only a couple blazes spawned, but in this open field, with even one blaze on you, it can be sort of a pain. So this trench really helped increase the amount of skulls I can get tremendously. Just huge credit to this whole trench. I also have my old blaze farm in here. It was still made out of dirt. I know I said I would renovate it, but I never did. So yeah, my blaze farm. It's very awful. Oh, and if you go underneath the nether fortress, it looks kind of cool too. Yeah. None of that was there before. The only place there were nether bricks was where these pillars are. Everything else was added by me. We're gonna go back home though and start looking at some of the towns that I went to. There were quite a few of them by the time 1,000 days was up. All right, so here we are. Originally, this was just called the Villager Town because it was the first town I ever found. There weren't any other towns. It was the only one I knew. One thing that I really like about this town is now if you use my horse road, which I use every now and then, you get a nice view of the volcano as you're coming up to it. Especially along this side, you get to the sort of start of the horse road and that volcano really starts to show. History of the town. It was a fairly peaceful town for a long time. You know, some creeper attacks, zombie attacks, that sort of thing. Though around day 300, I started doing a lot of raids here and built this intricate trap system. It's just a very simple lava trap. This one controls the upper lava traps. This lever controls the bottom lava traps. And with that, I was able to do a ton of raids until about day 400. I started doing raids at my main compound around day 500, and I really never did too many raids here again after I started doing them at my main compound. Because in the base, I've got a sextuple beacon. Now I've got 4 sextuple beacons. And as good as these lava traps are, they don't beat a sextuple beacon. Pretty much everything was fine in the land for a very long time. I repopulated this town on day 785 and everything was going pretty good for about a day. But if you remember, yeah, there was some tragedy. Everyone died. So on day 835, I made the Monument of the Dead. Monument, yes, the Monument of the Dead. I got it right. Of course, we've got some dog guards, some golden armor sentinels, and some diamond eyes just to sort of remember all of the people that have died because of my actions. Can we get an F in the chat? Just a real quick F, that'd be good. For now, pretty much everyone just lives in peace. You can see the dog army stationed here, so if anything gets in, it'll probably get killed. There's no iron golems, but there's also a nice big wall around it. It should be fine. The villagers aren't even locked up here. They can do whatever they want. They're free men. Some of them don't even have jobs. That's pretty much that town. You can get a really good view of it from this little observatory up here. Wow. That never gets old. But you might be able to see it there in the distance. It's the next town. It's L-Town. L-Town. So, in 200 and 300 days, L-Town was really my first true work of villager professions. I started playing Minecraft again when the Village and Pillage update hit. I played Minecraft a long time ago and, you know, sort of put it down. But with the new villager updates, I decided to come back in. And L-Town was really the first real good try of making these villagers and giving them jobs and profiting off of all of it. You gotta love the throne of capitalism. I didn't do too much with L-Town in 1,000 days just because the profit potential here for any one thing isn't that high. I only have one of every villager profession here. It's not like I have a ton of cartographers that I can exploit. But Warthog lives here. I moved him over here day 415 to retire him. I didn't want him to die. and I thought I'd, sort of send him out in style. So he normally lives here, but like you saw earlier, right now he's watching the fireworks show, so he's not home. He's got his armor on and everything. The Auto Pumpkin Farm only ever made 2 pumpkins, so I did good. Oh, this house burned down. I never showed it, but there was a house here, and it totally burned down. Day 420, I burned hella trees, and there was an accident, so I didn't show it. I just told myself, yeah, I'll get it in the tour, so here you are. Let's go to the cool shack. This is where I spent day 420. It was also sort of my house in L-Town. I didn't have a proper house. Before this, I was just sleeping in the castle. It's a nice little bedroom, nothing special. I don't spend too many days here at L-Town. I do like the observatory, though one thing I will say is, while I like the view, I do sort of wish I built it a little, maybe a couple more blocks over there, because it's not a perfect view of L-Town, but it's pretty good. I could always build another one. Gotta love the pool, just luxurious. You wanna decompress after a long day of Minecraft? Just hang out in your pool. Oh yeah, the water. It's it's warm. We've also got a little optical illusion. I don't know, it sort of looks like whatever. And of course, my sweet berry bush. I had to show out for day 420, and this is where I spent it. The inspiration for this whole house was to sort of build it out of many different structures and blocks. Like, I've got this wood here, other wood, bricks, emeralds, end blocks, glowstone, that's from the nether. Different stuff in here. Here's some ice, quartz, more ocean monument blocks, the fire feature. I tried to use a ton of different blocks when building this thing to make it as cool as possible, and I think I did a good job. If you go right outside of L-Town 2, you can also find my camping site. So at the end of 1,000 days, I did a little bit of camping, and the point of that was to not only make people nervous, but I thought, well, listen, if someone clicks on my 1,000 days video and they want to skip to the end, I think it'd be kind of funny if, they got to a shot of me with like stone tools and a bad tree house. I don't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing the end if they skip to the end. So that's why I went camping and built this tree house. It is incredibly simple. There's just like a little mine down here. There's also a couple flowers that I found on my little adventure. And of course your crafting table, furnace, and chest. If you go in the top of the tree house, you will find a tree house. Very simple. With a little chair. Though the black stained glass windows, it's kind of a nice touch. I was only out here for a couple days, I think 3 or 4, so there wasn't that much that I built. One of the cool things is this little canopy tunnel thing. I don't know. The dark oak has sort of a very, very, very dense canopy, and I thought it'd be cool if I could build a tunnel through it all the way to the top of the canopy. So if you remember that my campsite was sort of in a valley, and then when you come out the top, you're at the top of the valley. I just wish this view was better because I burned all these trees on day 420. But the tunnel gets you pretty high up there. You can see that trap door is where you pop out, and down there is the actual tree house. So you go through a tunnel safely through all of these trees up to there. It's pretty cool. Most of the time when I was camping, I would take a little boat down this river and just sort of explore this swamp. You can find blue orchids in the swamp, so I pretty much grabbed all the blue orchids I could. That's funny, I didn't go to the top of this hill. You can see all those blue orchids just chilling there. I got all the easy ones on the outside. So now we're gonna fly over to Glasstown. That's the next town that I found after L-Town. I actually found that before day 300, but I never really made it a good functional town. It took a while. I think day 535 was when I actually named it Glasstown, when it was making me enough glass profits that I had to name it that. But the primary method that I got there before I built the Nether Highway was my Spruce Road. It doesn't go all the way to Glasstown, but it cuts through the swamp, which was pretty bad on a horse. You can see here there's also a birch section, and it spits you out right by this pillager outpost. So I would use this thing all the time to not only get more bad omen for raids, but I would also use it to get to Glasstown. My voice, dude, I've been at this too long. I have too much stuff. So this is it. Glasstown. Oh yeah. Most of my fortune was made here. So like I said, I found this town around day 300, but it didn't really start to work exceptionally well until about day 500. Basically, the idea of Glasstown is inside of this thing, there is a ton of cartographers, and cartographers buy glass panes. So how do you get glass panes? Sand. So where's the sand? The desert. Ba-ba! Yeah, you can see just how much sand I just carved out of the very earth. I call this thing the Pit of Profits. And yeah, that is what it looks like when you just delete the top layer of sand off a desert. It just looks barren. There's monsters in it, but there's also something beautiful about it, you know? You know, this used to be just all sand, sand dunes, it looked like that, you know? Mountains of sand, but it's just carved down to the very rock. If you want an emerald house, this is the type of work you gotta do. This is also, again, why I like to do a tour, just because I can't really show the Pit of Profits in all of its glory inside of the regular video. This needs to be flown around. This thing is awesome. The villager breeder is ever expanding, but I mean, you can see there's a lot of cartographers in there, and yep, there's some children, so there's gonna be even more. It's pretty easy to make. I have just one long hall, you know, of beds and cartographer stations, and it works pretty effectively. Got 12 auto furnaces here with the 6 double chests of sand. Though, again, this is on day 1000, so you can see that my sand stocks were a little bit low. You know, I was trying to burn as much sand as possible to get those emeralds. I think I will keep using Glasstown if I ever need emeralds. It's just so powerful, but of course I think I want to diversify in 2000 days. You gotta have some other ways of getting money. Honestly, I kind of like this design. Like if these were glass blocks, that'd look kind of cool. Giving myself ideas. My glass baron house was built on day 715. So remember, I already said that this town wasn't really even useful until about day 500. So after about 200 days of profit, that's when I really decided to settle down. And sort of in the same vein as the Cool Shack, I kind of wanted to make this thing out of many different building materials like end and emerald blocks to make it pretty lavish. At this point, I was feeling pretty rich, and I wanted my house to, at least in my perspective, sort of show that. The basement is probably my favorite. I just love the floor. I love the redstone lights. You know, I'm not good with redstone, so anytime I can get redstone lights to work, it's like, yeah. There's not too many things in these chests right now, just some junk and some little items. I kind of cleared it out. The bedroom's nice too. It's got a nice view of the sunset when the sun is actually setting. Nice double purple bed, so if villagers want to sleep with you, you can. Oh, and one touch I really like is the sandstone wall. It was also pretty convenient with all the mining I had to do. I got quite a lot of sandstone, so being able to make a wall out of it was nice. I don't know if I would do a sandstone wall in any other place other than Glasstown, but it does look really nice here. You can see here I had a lot of wall left over. There was a lot of sandstone for making the Pit of Profits. In the early days of Glasstown, this desert temple that's naturally spawning, I didn't make this, it made me really nervous, but with the wall, I'm totally fine. Oh, and a lot of people ask me what this thing is. I don't even really know. It was supposed to be sort of like a raid farm of some sort, but I totally got everything wrong. I mean, this was supposed to drop lava. It's just a monstrosity. I left it as a reminder that I'm terrible. Here's the furnace room, if you cared about the furnace room. Probably the best thing I built here was the minecart track, though. It's just awesome. And that's Glasstown. I feel like it should be more, but deep down it's a pretty simple town. There's just lots of cartographers, and I profit off of all of them. Yes. So we're gonna take Raw Dolphin over to the mansion because there's another town over there, the Swamp Town, and it might be a good idea to see the mansion. You know, I really don't know if I'm gonna renovate the mansion. That's a big job, and this is also really far away from my main compound. So all my supplies, everything. I'd probably have to set up an entire other ecosystem over here to get this thing renovated. Because as you can see, you know, in the process of going through, I did destroy some windows. Of course, the whole reason we're out here nearby to the mansion, and I mean really nearby, there's the mansion, there is the Swamp Town. Now, I didn't stay in the Swamp Village very long. I made probably no profits at all. I don't think I made anything in the Swamp Town. The only thing I did here was this villager breeder. So part of the reason I didn't get Glasstown going until day 500 is I didn't know exactly how the villager breeders work. I think that's not only my own stupidity, but also the people who make Minecraft tutorials on this website are absolutely terrible, and they just all need to be fired because no one told me about the ceiling thing. I didn't know you had to make the ceiling high for the villagers to spawn. But as you can see, we have all these villagers in here. So this is the first time I was able to actually make a successful villager breeder around day 440. Now we're taking the minecart track from my nether hub. I'm going to show you the abduction town. Not much happened at this town by its name. You can probably tell that. It's just another simple town. I found it at some point, took a screenshot of it because I knew it wasn't too far away from the main base. And then I used my little nether portal to abduct a ton of villagers from here. I'm going to have to consolidate the villagers that are already here in a big breeder here. So maybe in like this area, I'm thinking I'm going to build a massive breeder and then breed them here, send them off to my main compound, build another massive breeder, and just have a lot of fun with these villagers. I'm really sad they got taken away from me with the Nether update corruptions, but I can get it back. Here we are, the last thing, at least the last thing I'm going to be talking about. It's my ocean shack. You remember this thing? It was so small. During 1,000 days, near the end, 944, I decided to renovate it, sort of as a getaway. See, at the time I was mining for netherite, and like I told you earlier, my efforts there were completely useless. And in order to take my mind off some things, I renovated my ocean shack, and now it looks pretty good. So of course you've got the docks with the acacia boats, and that's sort of a flex because there's no savanna trees around here. So those are some very foreign boats right there. You go up the dark wood dock and you see the jungle tree. Again, another flex because there's no jungle nearby. The rest of the house is pretty cool. You know, you got the acacia furniture with a little bit of dark oak texture in there. Nice little rug, sort of a homage to the sun. Nice bedroom, again, another homage to the sun. And if you play this by yourself, always remember that there's a secret chest underneath the carpet. So nice little ocean shack. Can't really call it a shack. The wall's also a little lackluster, but I'm telling you, that pretty much works. It's not the best, but it pretty much works. And that's pretty much it. 1,000 days of Minecraft. I'm glad I could show you guys this tour so that you could really see everything and get a more in-depth view. I know it's a little bit tough sometimes with how the content is just structured to see everything, but hopefully you saw everything with this. I mean, I at least tried to show everything. Remember though, go to the link in the description, download the world. It's seriously a lot better to get your hands on the world and actually feel it. And remember, of course, there's those fireworks. That's it for the tour though. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Again, make sure to download and also make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next upload. It could be Minecraft or anything else. Stay notable. I'll see you in the next one.